last few pages of the book, closing in on the killer. But here came Sloane and the boys, and the two women, and my twins, and the two girls, and there was such a commotion over at the house that I thought someone was being murdered over there, never mind the garage. What happened was they had caught a shark. Well, I tell you, none of us but Sloane had ever eaten shark meat, who claimed it was delicious and insisted that he prepare it for dinner. My son's expression said, "Boy, Dad, you never caught a shark. You never ate a shark. You don't know how to cook a shark. You never sliced open a shark's belly the way Mr. Wilson is doing right this minute before my very own eyes." Like sous chef and grand master, they puttered and pattered about the kitchen, finally carrying fillets to the skillet on the stove, where together they began frying up a fine, smelly mess of fish. I went back to see how my people in the garage were doing. They were doing okay. The book is okay, too, I think. In fact, I kind of like it. Because I was driven by a singular need to get onto the beach as soon as possible, the book itself is driven by a single plot. It's a no-frills book. You jump right into it, you move right along with it, you let it take you where it wants to go. And because it was written fast, it seems to move fast. The ticking 12-hour clock in the book seems to echo the urgency of the deadline I had set for myself. 9 days, 20 pages a day, clocks are ticking and the cotton is high. Speaking of cotton, you'll notice that in this book I simply had no time to fool around with making Hawes a big star, the way a misguided publishing person had earlier insisted. Instead, he becomes a mere human being, an integral part of other humans in the repertory company of cops. I like him better this way. It took more time to get the stench of that damn shark out of the kitchen than it did to write this book. Ed McBain, Norwalk, Connecticut, February 1994. Chapter 1. Were you a crank this week? A crank is a person who calls Frederick 78024 and says, "I don't want to have to tell you about that Chinese laundry downstairs again. The owner uses a steam iron and the hissing keeps me awake. Now will you please arrest him?" A crank is a person who addresses a letter to the 87th Precinct and writes, "I am surrounded by assassins. I need police protection. The Russians know that I have invented a supersonic tank." Every police precinct in the world gets its share of crank calls and letters every day of the week. The calls and letters range from the sincere to the idiotic to the sublime. There are people who have information about suspected communists, kidnappers, murderers, abortionists, forgers, and high-class whorehouses. There are people who complain about television comedians, mice, landlords, loud phonographs, strange ticking sounds in the walls, and automobile horns that play, "I'll be down to get you in a taxi, honey." There are people who claim to have been exhorted, extorted, duped, threatened, libeled, slandered, beaten, maimed, and even murdered. The classic call at the 87th was from a woman who claimed to have been shot dead 4 days ago, and why hadn't the police yet found her murderer? There are, too, mysterious and anonymous calls that flatly and simply state, "There is a bomb in a shoebox at the Avon Theater." Crank calls can be terrifying. Crank calls and letters cost the city a lot of time and expense. The trouble is, you see, that you can't tell a crank from a non-crank without a program. Were you a crank this week? It was Wednesday, July 24th. The city was hot, and the muster room of the 87th Precinct was probably the hottest place in the city. Dave Murchison sat behind the high desk to the left of the entrance doorway and wished that his underwear shorts would stop riding up his buttocks. It was only 8 in the morning, but the city had been building a blast of